at work, that might be a bit of an inconvenience. Even though it shouldn't be because it's your son or daughter,
yes.
It shouldn't be an inconvenience, but it may be an inconvenience if somebody in the school had that necessary training,
yes.
where they can manage that,
yes.
get that individual maybe to a health facility, and then yes, you consult the parents because they have to be involved, which I will agree to.
Yes.
But sometimes if the school or the particular environment has individual with that sort of training, it can save a lot of time.
Yes.
Save a lot of time and even save someone's life also.
What you've just said make really good sense, and subject to be challenged or corrected otherwise. And let me wind up and give commendations to some of the initiatives I saw in the past, or recent times as well, where there are some institutions that have taken on their own to do those kinds of training, get people certified. That is commendable.
Yes.
The point I am raising here is whether or not there is a policy or law that says it should happen or it must happen to function. And if it is, the ones who are in violation, what is becoming of them? So, in essence, I am saying here, things where people's lives are involved should not be left up to the discretion of others. It has to be driven by legislation, it has to be driven by a policy, and those policies and instruments that are written, they are only good as when they are brought to life.
Yeah.
And people are the ones to bring them to life. And I am saying here that if they are generated, I know Grenada, we are very good in drafting plans and policies. I've been through that and I know that we're good at holding workshops, conferences and so forth, and consultations. We're very good at that. When we look at the enforcement and the use of those policies and plans, in most cases,
has never even been.
The feather, there are things that you use in home, the feather brushes and so forth. They become very useful because all the plants get
just dust the dust
them off and they put them on. Well, no, not so much dusting because a lot of them are generated electronically, so they're there on the system and some of them they're never visited. So I am saying all of this to build where we are coming from. That the points we are going to make in terms of mitigating the risk in returning to school, they must all be driven or be guided by legislation. And legislation is only as good and effective when it is being enforced. So there are a few measures in that. So we're running right back to the home. Preparing your child for returning to school. I mentioned again on programs that remote parenting and digital parenting and virtual parenting is not the things with them. Don't WhatsApp them, don't just call them on the phone and say, you're all going back to school next week, and show your bags are packed, your books are here, you have your laptop, you have your computer, you have your
tablet,
digital tablets, you have your calculators and all of these that you can go to school. They are very important. But that personal touch in sitting the child or children down and explain to them the risk that they are going to be exposed to. The physical checking of the bags before and after is a deterrent. If children understand that you are going to be checking their bags before they leave, they'll probably, if they really want to be obedient, choose another way. And the more you keep them uneasy in trying to find ways of concealing what they should not have, is the easier it becomes for you to track them.
Yes, I agree. And I agree. Because something about you as a parent, every morning, if I know that, as a young self, I would know that every morning my mom will check my bag, I would for some reason not take anything down. Or maybe I'll find another way of getting to go with it.
And then you're easier we're going to catch you.
And then you're going to catch up on us.
Yes, of
understand?
course.
So that always check in the backpack every time for making sure that they don't take the school things that are not needed for the education purpose for the maybe at home.
Yes.
If a parent is not home, yes, you could call and say something, but it's not for going to school with. And then we know youngsters don't want to use it, and then that becomes a distraction for them in school. Not knowing that they have that in the bag,
yes,
it's a distraction, and it can lead to them not focusing on their schoolwork the way they should because I'm thinking about what's in my bag.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
So that I understand that option there.
So children, they are intelligent beings, and we have to view them that way. And we have to instill and build in them what we would want the result to be. And so very often you would get the resistance as babies growing up. When babies need attention, they cry.
Yes.
When they need something, they cry. And from very small, you pull their hand from something and they push it back. And you give them a little tap on the hand and they understand, well, no, this is not what my parent want me to do.
Yes.
But they will go back at it again. No, you insist on they not doing that. Eventually, it breaks off. And if down the road you become frustrated, I always tell the child, and the child keep doing it. You'd never know the point at which it's going to break in. So you have to be insistent on doing what you know is correct and what you want your child to become. You cannot become wary in trying to culture the child the right way. And some of the things that parents usually do is the child is going to learn. They're going to understand it.
And youngsters knows how to test you from time to time, by continue doing that same thing to see if you're just going to say, hey, forget it. You understand? You may say, well, I told you don't do it once, I told you don't do it twice. And some parents may just allow it to just continue, and then it gets out of hand, and then you say, no. I always say, when you allow things to deteriorate, you know what happens? It can't be fixed.
It can't be
fixed.
It can be.
Some folks say, yeah, they could fix, but no, trying to fix it leads to more work for you as an individual if you could have nipped it on the board at earlier o'clock.
Correct.
You understand?
Correct. So point by point, technically, I would want to be able to give parents some things that you can work with in preparing your child for the back to school and the risk associated.
All right.
So sit them down, speak to them about the environment that they are going into, what they are likely to face, the friends that they're likely to face, the conversation they're likely to hear, and speak them out against it.
Yes.
The places that they are likely to assemble, speak to them against it before they even, because they're going to find out. Don't say, well, when it happened, when you understand that your child was behind the bus terminus or someplace, it probably would be too late. Tell them that this is the places that children, and this is a place that they should know.
Some parents, I talked to you about it once, and that's it. I think this conversation should be ongoing. Mm-hmm. If it has to be a routine where, I know every Friday morning or Friday evening, my mom or dad would talk to me about that. Mm-hmm. That's where it should not be a one-off conversation. I'm going to hear about that. I'm tired hearing it as a youngster. Yes. But I continue to always hear that conversation. Hey, don't do this, don't go there. As you said, particular areas, individuals who I associate with, I shouldn't be. Mm-hmm. We're not telling you to have friends, but they're individuals that you just shouldn't associate with for whatever reason.
Yes.
Parents should talk to their sons or daughters about that, because factors that could lead to where the risk of that individual come to play, mm-hmm. in terms of getting involved, something that the authority is going to have to get into. Mm-hmm. You yourself you may harm yourself, or you may be part of a friend grouping, mm-hmm. that now you're part of that, and the conversation that they have, it may not be appropriate.
Yes.
For you to be part of, yes. In terms of what they're talking about, you understand?
Yeah.
And that's where you see youngsters getting themselves involved in drugs and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And if parents were talking to them in a particular manner, they will know, well, my mom and dad are not happy about me associated with you. Yes, you're my friend, but because of what you're doing, I don't want to associate, because I know the problems I could run into.
Yes. And this, I think this program is kind of really going to soak in, because there are a lot of things that parents ignore, and the bottom line of this conversation is spending time with your children and speaking to them about the things that they are likely to meet and how to deal with it. I remember my brother, who is now a bishop in the United States, when he first entered PBC and so forth. And the initiation of the older boys, what they will do, right? Yeah, if you have a clean head, they'll give you some rap and other things. Mm-hmm. When he started getting that, he ran down to me. I was somewhere on Church Street and told me, look, this is what he's facing. And I smiled. I said, you are being initiated. So, that is, these are some of the things you are going to be exposed. And you have to tell children that these are some of the things you may face. The whole aspect of the bullying situation, when they form 3, 4, 5 sometimes come down to the youngsters entering at Form 1s. Not that we're happy about.
Not that we're happy about it.
No, you're not.
You're not happy about it.
No, but it's realities that happens, and we have to prepare our children to be able to deal with it and to be able to report it, the reporting mechanism. Yeah. So in other words, don't tell your child to take it or be shelved, because that could break the child's confidence forever in school, that initial breakthrough. So you have to prepare them to be able to deal with it. If it's something that they're uncomfortable with, then they would need to speak to the teacher, the counselor, and question your children when they get back home. That conversation about how your day was. The children feel that you're nagging them, that you are annoying. But no. Hold the conversation. Ask them about the day. What went through to the day, and what were the nice things, and what were the not so nice things. Look at their demeanor, their uniform, their books, and everything. Is it consistent with what they left with? So if you pay that kind of a consistent attention to your children, you may not always be home to receive them when they come from home based on your work schedule and so on. But give them a phone call or otherwise, and when you get home, ensure that there's that personal interaction with children. So in closing up that segment, I want to encourage parents to hold the conversation with your children, preparing them for the next stage and phase of their life. They're moving from primary to secondary, prepare them for that. They're moving from one to two, from 3 to 4, and when they're getting into deciding their careers, into what subjects they are going to be deciding on, hold those kind of a conversation with them. Teach them, tell them about the pedestrian crossing. You should understand it yourself as a parent, and you should be able to, don't leave it up to the police, don't leave it up to the teacher. Parent your child yourself. So tell them, well, where we're living is, we see a vehicle mainly on weekends all the time when people, and so crossing the street is like, okay, but you're going into St. George, or you're going into the Grenville, you're going to SAS, or you're going to the Grenville Sec, or you're going to the GBSS or the Anglican High, and the traffic in that area is crazy and busy. It's a different, you need to stop, ensure that the driver gets your attention, and then you cross.
And a conversation like that is especially good for folks who are moving to new schools. You understand? You may now have come out from primary and you're going to secondary school.
Yes.
It's a different dimension there for you now.
Right.
In terms of the whole traffic situation to how it was at the primary. Your primary school maybe have been isolated for some reason or the other. It's off the road and so forth. But now you go into a different, the traffic situation, the people you may meet, you probably have not been going to the Tantine area on a regular basis, just for example. To school. No, everything is different.
Yes.
And that's where our conversation with your son or daughter becomes, relevant in terms of the do's and don'ts and things that they could look out for.
And the other area, you want to take a break?
Yeah, we do for a break. Let's take it.
Right.
We have so much to talk about. I mean, we still have at least 20 minutes.
Good.
And if there are individuals out there listening, viewers and listeners and viewers out there who wants to chime in for some reason, and the conversation is grabbing your attention, you feel free. We certainly will entertain your call also.
We were zeroing on the Tam-CC area, moving from the secondary into the Tam-CC environment, where a lot of parents tend to lose their children.
Yes.
Becoming from that secondary school, the shock of the new environment, of which sometimes these students tend to figure that they're now adults or otherwise, and we lose them at the college level.
All right. Let's take a break. We're coming right back. Stay with us, folks. Coming right back.
The Grenada Dental Association, with support from the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, Great Shape Inc., Spice Isle Smiles Foundation, and Sandals Foundation, present Seal Grenada, sealing children's permanent teeth between the ages of 6 to 18, from August the 28th to September the 1st, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. daily at the current government school in St. David. For more information, call 421-6021. Seal today. Prevent decay tomorrow.
I want to control your anger. There's a way to feel better. That's one thing to remember. No matter where you are, you can be a star. Stop and take a deep breath and relax yourself. Take another deep breath and relax it, and relax it. Eliminate violence.
Get ready to catch all the action. The CPL returns August 16th to September 24th. Be watching.
Grenada's broadcast of Republic Bank CPL 2023 is made possible by Republic Bank. We're the one for you. The National Lotteries Authority, Grenlec, and Hard On Plus.
welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. You know our number by now, 435-2041. If you want to chime in on the conversation, feel free to do so. There are probably a statement or two that were made by Mr. McIntyre that, of course, you want to chime in on, and probably you want to give your views on it. You certainly feel free to do so. Sylvan, welcome back once again. Now, when we were taking a wrap, you were talking about the migration of youngsters, especially from the secondary level.
Yes.
Now they're going to go to the tertiary level as TAMCC, and those who may probably go into university and so forth. You understand? Yeah. The migration for some is not always suited for some, as an individual may say.
Yeah.
And especially when it comes down to parents, you may be thinking, well, my son has been a different individual when he used to go to this particular secondary school. He was there's a particular way that he behaves, and then you look now, he has gone to a different level of his education, and you start to worry about his behavior. You understand? Tell us something about that. What parents should look out for, or parents should be worried about, or if there's a reason to worry about it.
Yeah. So let me just start by saying a parent is a permanent assignment that don't change once.
We shouldn't give up.
No, you can't give up because you can't change it. If that's a child, you're a parent, you're just a parent. And there are some things that would not change. And as we spoke of stages and phases into college, it's one of the areas that people don't speak a lot about, and it's an area where parents lose their children because they tend to treat these children now as adults and forget that they're still children. And even if they attain the age of 18, some of them, even before entering college, they would attain. But they still are your child, your children, and there are some guidance that would be required. And age does not necessarily indicate maturity.
Yes.
And so children would react and respond and mature in certain areas at different stages in their life. And as a parent, you would only recognize it by your engagement with them and how you interact with them. And your scrutiny of the actions and the behavior would tell you whether they are maturing at certain levels. Now, when they enter college, they tend to feel that sense of freedom. I don't have to wear a uniform anymore. It is easier for students now to blend into society and to blend among people. Things easier than they would have in secondary school.
Or they may feel I have that level of freedom now more than I did when I used to go secondary.
That's correct. Yes.
Sylvan, before we continue, let's take a call. Let's ask some of this caller and see what they have to offer. Caller, good morning, welcome.
Good morning, sir. Sir Sylvan and the other gentleman, I'm glad to hear. To some extent, you're refreshing my mind. But a lot of us, including myself, cannot take so much information and keep so much information and put it into practice. Because when I hear too much, or when people hear too much, maybe they hardly want to learn. So I would prefer maybe you change the method of approach, and I would prefer possible to discuss one aspect of family this or family that in the school or this. That would be better for me. I don't know for the others who are listening. That's their business. Thank you very much. But it's a good program.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So that caller is indicating that we should
probably going too fast.
Yeah, or we're giving a lot of information.
Too much information.
One time. We should pick an area and zero in.
But we did sectionize.
We did sectionize what we want to say and group it. We're going to take another caller.
Let's take another caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome.
Hello, person. Good morning. This is a very good program. And in my view, I think that when a child or children reach the age of reason, that is at 7 years, we say, they should be told, and even before reaching the age of reason, there are certain things that children should be acquainted with. Peer pressure, the friends they're going to have, friends that want them to do this and do that. And I think such children should be told, all right, you don't bother with what your friends say. We are the boss at home, and we want to see you coming up as a gentleman, a lady, and you must follow those principles. Your friends would want to see you doing this, doing that, and then they they turn around and laugh at you. Another point, I have not heard any mention being made of the PTA. I mean, you go into PTA meetings and, I mean, maybe try to see a teacher. Well, again, if the child is in secondary school, they would have a form teacher, and you try to find out from the form teacher what is his progress, what is his behavior like, does he respond to advice, etc. Don't do this. And I think any parent or parents monitoring the children's attitude from preschool right on to at CCA, I think that this would help the children to grow in the way you want them, or even in the way they should go. Because after school, they have a life to live. They're employed, and whatever behavior is exhibited in the workplace, all right, the boss or bosses, whoever in charge, would be looking at them. And as a result, if the behavior is not the standard at which it should be, because they write the application and they say this, that, and the other. And if that behavioral pattern is not at the standard it should be, the tendency for them to lose a job and going from job to job is highly likely. So I think it's from a very young age, as I've mentioned, children ought to be told the proper decorum that should be coming from them as they go from stage to stage. Thank you.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you very much, sir.
So very interesting points.
Very interesting
caller. You understand?
Yeah.
That was a past teacher of mine too. If I grab his tone right.
Great. So mitigating the risk is what we're speaking about. Mm-hmm. We're gonna entertain one more caller.
Let's entertain another caller. Caller, good morning. You're welcome. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you, and good morning to Mr. Sylvan. What a timely program. There seems to be a lot of aggression in our community, in our societies, and I believe we as parents have a lot to do in terms of disciplining our children, the way we speak to them, the way we talk to them, and even sometimes the method we use, it's so harsh that they believe that is the way to go, and they go to school with that attitude, and it's meted out to other children. The bullying is too much, and it's about time we realize that our boys and girls of today, they're not of those of yesterday that might sit and cry. In retaliating, the worst might stay to them, or even maybe those who think that they can bully others might get hurt. So this is something we really need to work on, the attitude towards teachers and, discipline. And if we as parents work with our children, we would minimize the chances of having confrontation out there. And I just want to say to the counselors, continue to do what you do. And if you as parents have a problem that you cannot deal with, you could go to the school and talk to the counselors and talk to the children before, it becomes a problem that you cannot deal with. Remember, there are a lot of people out there that they